Before last year, I honestly didn't think much of the Carnosaur franchise. What I initially thought to be nothing more than a series of movies that were just one of many that were capitalizing off of the Dinomania craze of the 90s turned out to be so much more. So much so, I ended up making an almost 3-hour retrospective on it that I definitely recommend if you want to know more about the movies. This video is more of a supplementary video to that retrospective. As I did my research on the Carnosaur movies for that bigger video, I realized that there was a lot of mysterious elements to this franchise. One of these mysteries that was brought up a few times in the comments of my retrospective was this specific image. The image shows a woman in a red polka dotted dress or robe within the jaws of the full-scale T-Rex animatronic. What's weird about this image is that despite seemingly first showing up on the Carnosaur 2 DVD box, this still doesn't feature anywhere in that movie, or in any of the Carnosaur movies for that matter. And people realize this because I wasn't the only one wondering where this image came from. I've seen a few different theories and have even helped formulate one of my own regarding this image. The theory that I and a colleague and friend of mine, Joseph Palinkas, came up with was that this image was leftover material from a scrapped scene that was planned to be featured in the first movie. So for those of you that maybe didn't watch my retrospective, Adam Simon, the director of the first Carnosaur movie, did a couple of interviews with film magazines Fangoria and Starlog back while Carnosaur was still being developed, and in both of these magazines, he had referenced a scrapped scene in which a family was slaughtered by the dinosaurs. According to what's stated in the Starlog magazine, another casualty was a few major gore scenes that had to be deleted when Carnosaur's higher than Concorde norm budget was suddenly scaled back. We had one sequence where a whole family is wiped out by the dinosaurs, says Simon of the lost material. The scene was planned during a point in the movie's development when Simon thought they'd be working with a higher budget than they ended up getting. So when the budget was eventually scaled back, certain scenes didn't make the cut. But could it be possible that they maybe did film the scene, or at the very least, maybe photograph some stills of it or possible promotional material that included it before the decision to scrap the scene entirely was made? Well, there's a couple of holes in this theory, and that's the fact that the idea was made during the script writing phase of the movie. So it's likely they didn't get far enough to record or photograph any shots of it. That, and Simon never specified what dinosaur was planned to attack this family. Sure, it could have been the T-Rex, but it's just as likely that it could have been the Deinonychus. I only initially figured it would be the T-Rex as it would have given it more screen time in the film, since the Deinonychus was the main dinosaur antagonist up until the final scene of the movie. Another reason why this is likely not the case is the kind of film this is. One thing you have to know about the Carnosaur franchise is that it was produced by the now unfortunately late Roger Corman. Corman is famous for his numerous low-budget science fiction, horror, and/or action movies that he's been making since the 50s. The thing about Corman is that he knew how to stretch a dollar for his movies, and he would set up strict rules regarding shooting times, budget, and overall production to make sure his movies were out as quickly as possible. This was the case for Carnosaur, especially the first film, as he wanted to release it before Jurassic Park to jump on the dinosaur movie bandwagon during that point in time. Because they were on a time crunch and Corman's overall mentality when it came to making movies, I doubt there would be any legroom to film sequences they would end up cutting later on. And before anyone tries to argue that maybe they were forced to cut scenes from their movie after filming, first off, there's no real indication anywhere that supports that theory, and second off, this is a B-movie. When it comes to regulations and rules, it's much more lenient than big budget movies that have a more widespread release and by extension a wider demographic to worry about. So if this wasn't a part of any cut scenes or promotional materials for the first Carnosaur movie, then maybe it was made solely for Carnosaur 2? Well, we ended up finally getting an answer, and to keep it short, yes. This image was, in fact, made for Carnosaur 2, despite the fact that nothing like it ever features in the film. Carnosaur 2 is about a group of technicians that are called to check on some electrical problems at a nuclear waste repository facility that was also used as a place to harbor genetically engineered dinosaurs that attack and kill our characters one by one. There's no context where this image would make sense to appear in a film like this. But long story short, it was made to simply be a one-off still image to be put on the home material release. I actually ended up getting this answer from Joey Palinkis. For those of you that don't know, Joey is a huge fan of the Carnosaur films, and is actually in the works right now to release a film history book on the franchise later this month on May 31st, which details all sorts of exclusive information given by actors, special effects workers, producers, and directors that worked on these films. Joey was nice enough to give me some exclusive information to make a video out of it. Joey told me that he did an interview with Scott A. Woodard, who's worked in special effects and puppeteering for several films, including Carnosaur 2. I was sent a screenshot of a recorded quote by Woodard from the outline of Joey's book, which states, "There is a photo in the back of the VHS tape and DVD box showing a woman in a red polka dot dress dangling from the mouth of the full-size T-Rex. As you well know, this actor in this image never appears in the film. The photo shoot was done off the side with Roger Corman present to direct it. A couple of us had to be present to position the T-Rex, but the actor was just standing on a ladder off camera." And if this isn't enough for those of you that still may feel a bit skeptical about it, Woodard also confirms this on his official Facebook page when paying tribute to Roger Corman after news broke out about his death, and how working on Carnosaur 2 led him to meeting his now wife, Tamara Carlson Woodard. Truth be told, Tamara and I might have never met had it not been for Roger Corman. We first met working on Carnosaur 2, which was a New Horizons picture with Roger as executive producer. He even popped by one day to direct a photo shoot for the back of the box, and Tamara was on hand to strategically rip up the model's dress, while the rest of us positioned the full-size T-Rex so that she could dangle from its gaping maw, while standing on a ladder out of shot. In this house, we have much to thank Roger for, beyond his extensive body of work. Rip Roger Corman, that's a wrap. And there you have it. Sure, this might not be as crazy of a story as you'd probably hope for when it comes to uncovering the truth behind a mysterious piece of media, and admittedly, the question of who the actress was is still a mystery, but regardless, we now have a conclusive answer as to where this image comes from. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was more of a shorter video, and I'm sorry for that. I wish it could have been this grand old search effort like you hear with other lost or mysterious media videos, but sometimes a quick answer is all you need to satisfy you. I figured people would be fine just finally having an answer as to what this image was and why it was made. I also just want to take time to thank Joey real quick for giving me this information, as without it I wouldn't be able to make this video. I highly recommend checking out his book when it drops. However, in this current moment, the book isn't out yet, but Joey did say that he would update everyone once the link was available. So for now, I'll just leave the link to his Twitter page in the description down below, that way you guys can stay updated with everything regarding his upcoming Carnosaur film book. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you to my Patreon members for supporting the channel. If anybody else wants to support the channel, you could always check out my Patreon. For $3 a month, you get exclusive content and updates, along with a shout out at the end of every video. Whatever you decide to do, I appreciate you taking time just to watch this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and please, have a nice day.